Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to all the witnesses for talking about really which is the issue of the day. There isn't a district in the Congress where the skills gap and again, the struggle to fill really good paying jobs doesn't exist. So again, this topic is really universal to really every part of the country. In terms of trying to decipher, what the issue is here, though, I mean, they're clearly, and it's been alluded to in some of the testimony about the fact that the administration has unveiled a new apprenticeship program that will allow the federal dollars to flow to essentially unregistered apprenticeship programs. The registration process, which goes back to 1937, the Fitzgerald Act, provides a national standard for apprenticeship programs. It establishes labor standards like a wage scale and anti-discrimination provisions. I am concerned that this unregistered approach is really going to undercut a proven model. So, Mr. Kucinich, I want to ask you, can you speak to the importance of the registered apprenticeship model and the quality standards that registration establishes?
Well, clearly, one of the best ways to market this to individuals who are looking to build a career is to be able to articulate that there is a pathway toward a family-sustaining career, and you're going to get that through the support of a registered apprenticeship program, that there is clear wage progression, that there are skills, that there are standards. A lot of students or young people who have gone through different types of education and learning models end up either with a big bill on their tab, or they end up with a piece of paper that doesn't really lend itself to getting them to the next job or the next stage in their career. So one thing the registered apprenticeship program does, at least in the great state of Wisconsin, is it ensures that quality, that standard, and honestly, to make that decision to move forward into an apprenticeship program is a big sacrifice, and it's a big investment on the part of both the employer and the individual. So having that level of detail is necessary, and quite honestly, to your point, one of the concerns that we would have with a non-registered apprenticeship system is what is that commitment to diversity and helping individuals who are returning from incarceration, women, get into the skilled trades, not only in the manufacturing and construction sectors, which we care about, but I'm a citizen too, so I care about all other sectors of the economy as well. So we want to be able to promote, and registered apprenticeship gives us a platform to really discuss that on.
Well, thank you. I mean, I think, that's really gets to the crux of this sort of, I wouldn't call it dispute, but certainly conversation about just, what is the best model. There's a narrative that the Fitzgerald Act is cumbersome and unworkable. Again, I enjoyed listening to Mr. Dernbach's description of, the registered apprenticeship program for an organic farm and for information technology. We're seeing that in Connecticut. The Hartford Insurance Group actually used the registered apprenticeship program, which was really sort of outside of what I think a lot of people saw an insurance company's wheelhouse was, and they found it to be an extremely workable program with the State Department of Labor. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to enter a letter that I got from a small manufacturer in eastern Connecticut, Collins and Jewell, which sort of describes this sort of dynamic in terms of new employers entering into the apprenticeship program with some trepidation, and what their experience was. And I'll just read really briefly. We at first were very reluctant to get enrolled into the apprenticeship program, as we were under the misconception that apprenticeship was a very difficult process for small employers. Once approached about the program, we were surprisingly relieved that the process was not nearly as daunting as imagined, and we could utilize our current job descriptions to create a training program that included on-the-job with classroom training, and thus within a few months we had an approved apprenticeship program and had 5 employees enrolled. So I'd ask that
without objection, so ordered.
Admitted. So again, the notion that this is a program that needed fixing. Everywhere I see, when people actually engage with the Department of Labor and see how user-friendly it is, the results are quite good. And I would just note that, obviously we're talking about a scaling up situation. The chairman mentioned 6 million job openings around the country, but frankly, our country has faced those situations in the past. And after the Fitzgerald Act was passed, the biggest scaling up in our economy's history was obviously World War II. We were able to, again, meet the challenge in terms of industry-wide mobilization across the country using a registered apprenticeship model that actually gave people a certificate of value workers that they could actually transfer to different sectors and different parts of the country. So again, I want to thank the chairman for holding this hearing, but I really feel that we should be very vigilant in this committee to make sure that we're not eroding standards that employers have found they can use, and also that obviously benefit the employees that go through the process. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back, and the chair now recognizes the gentlelady from New York, Ms. Stefanik, 5 minutes for questions.
Thank you, Mr.